Hey guys, I am back with another reading roundup for June. This month I read/listened to 4 different books throughout the course of the month. The first of which was a Kindle book, Go Your Crone Way by Kathleen Nichols, who I have followed on Twitter for a really long time. I guess you'd call it a sort of self-help memoir for people living with Crohn's disease. As you may or may not know if you read my blog, I actually have ulcerative colitis, which is a very similar disease falling under the IBD umbrella. I found so much of her book really relatable, and I did a full blog post on not only the book itself, but also kind of my journey with IBD. So I'll link that in the description in case you're interested, but I won't say too much more about the book here. One thing I will say is you really should follow Kathleen on Twitter because she is amazing. She is at KathFantastic. The second book we have is the only physical book I read, and the story of how this came into my life is quite interesting. So when Kath announced she was releasing a book, I pre-ordered it on Amazon, and I also pre-ordered at the same time The Cursed Child. What I didn't realise at the time is if you pre-order 2 items at the same time with different release dates, they won't send you either until the release date of the latest one. So Kath's book never actually arrived. So then what I decided to do was, instead of paying for postage, add on an additional book to my order of Kath's so that I could get free delivery. Literally, I think the same day or the next day, I received an email from NetGalley telling me that my request to read Go Your Crone Way through them had been approved and it was being sent direct to my Kindle. So of course I then went back to Amazon to try and cancel the order that I had placed, and although I was able to cancel the copy of Go Your Crone Way, the second book that I ordered simply for the free delivery had apparently already been shipped, so I wasn't able to cancel it. So I kind of feel like this book was meant to find its way into my life. Or at least I did before I read it, because I'd read so many good things about it. Lots of my friends recommend it, but as you can probably tell, it wasn't quite for me. The book in question is Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. So I think most of you will probably know this is sort of the true story of Matt's battle with depression throughout the years, and how he came to overcome that, and what it's like to be depressed. The problem I had with this book is it made me feel like a fraud. I've never been officially diagnosed with depression or any other mental illness, but I do think I've potentially suffered from it on and off over the course of my life, in particular perhaps within the last 6 months while I've not been particularly well. And yeah, this book just made me feel like a complete fraud, as though wasn't I wasn't sad enough, I wasn't depressed enough. I don't know. Nothing really clicked with me the way other people have described it clicking with them, so it just wasn't for me. Clearly it's helped a lot of people, and I think it's a really brave book to be published, but I didn't really feel like it worked for me. I managed to listen to one audiobook this month, and that was Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I think it's also called Big Little Lies in different countries as well. This is a book that was recommended to me by a fellow blogger, Roslyn, who blogs at Dream Days blog. And another quite funny story here is Liane is an Australian writer, and when I went to Australia in the year 2000, so I was 14 years old, I picked up a book while on vacation, which I can't for the life of me remember the name of right now, which was written by Jacqueline Moriarty, and I absolutely adored it, to the point that when her second novel came out, I got my aunt to send over a copy from Australia for me so that I could read it because it hadn't been released in the UK. And it turns out that they are sisters, which I found really interesting. It's read by an Australian woman called Caroline Lee, which I think really adds to the book and helps set the scene. I was completely and utterly compelled by this story. I didn't want to stop listening when I had to. It's almost 16 hours long, and I think I finished it in less than a week. It was that good. It's one of those that kind of starts with the conclusion and then you work your way back through various flashbacks, but it's really interesting to see how everyone's relationship ties together towards the end, and the whodunit part definitely kept me guessing. Finally, we've got another ebook which is called How to Live for Free, The Definitive Guide by Deepak Taylor. He is the founder of latestfreestuff.co.uk, which if you haven't signed up to, you totally should. It collects all the best freebies and deals from around the country. In his book, he really does explain how you can live completely and utterly free. Obviously, there are some parts that are harder than others, for example, accommodation, but there are some things that no one should ever be paying for, and it gives you really good actionable tips on how to pursue those. Obviously, a lot of the things are a time versus money thing, so if your time is better spent elsewhere, then spend the money. Otherwise, why not spend the time so that you don't have to spend the money? There are lots and lots of tips in this book that I'm going to be bringing forward. I'm pretty good as it is, but there's definitely room for improvement for some other stuff as well. That's it from me, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like what you see, and I will see you in the next video.